What's up, everybody? I'm Johnny Lee. Welcome back to the Self-Sufficiency channel. Today I want to talk about something that really seems to get people heated. I've read comments like this: Johnny Lee is stupid. Reproduction is natural. I've seen comments like this all the time. And you're right about one thing. Reproduction is natural. But so is cancer. So is disease. So is predation, starvation, and human cruelty. Natural doesn't mean good. And it doesn't mean merciful. My position is simple. Life is guaranteed suffering, sickness, loss, aging, and death. Nobody asked to be here. And if you really care about the well-being of future people, the most merciful thing you can do is not create them. And the wild part is, I didn't get that from some edgy atheist blog. I got it from your Bible, from one of the most honest books in it, Ecclesiastes. You see, Christians love to quote the feel-good verses. They love to thump the Bible, but they almost never quote Ecclesiastes because it completely destroys the happy ending narrative. Listen to this. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, starting at verse 2 to verse 3. So I concluded that the dead are better off than the living. But most fortunate of all are those who are not yet born, for they have not seen all the evil that is done under the sun. According to your own book, the dead are better off than the living, and the best of all are the ones who were never born, because they never had to see any of this madness. That is literally antinatalism in the Bible. Later on, he says in Ecclesiastes chapter 6, verse 3, a man may have 100 children and live many years. I say that a stillborn child is better off than he. In other words, you can have a long life and a big family, and a child born dead is still better off than you, because that child never had to carry any of this. And then this, Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 1, the day of death is better than the day of birth. Christians celebrate baby showers like they're bringing someone into paradise. Ecclesiastes says the funeral is the better day, because that's when the suffering ends. This writer isn't stupid. He's honest. You see, before you were born, you were nothing. You didn't suffer. You weren't lonely. You weren't waiting to be here. 13.8 billion years, or whatever the real number is, passed before you existed. You didn't miss it. You weren't in some waiting room tapping your foot. But then you were born. And now you get pain, bills, loss, stress, death at the end anyways. And Ecclesiastes says the same thing about death that I do. In chapter 9, verse 5, he says, the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing. They have no further reward. Even their name is forgotten. In other words, while you're alive, you at least know you're going to die, so you can still make choices. Once you're dead, that's it. no thoughts, no awareness, no reward, just gone. So the pattern is non-existence before birth, brief existence full of suffering and struggle, non-existence after death. And Ecclesiastes is saying, if you never enter that middle part at all, you're the lucky one. So let's go back to the insult. Johnny Lee is stupid. Reproduction is natural. Yes, reproduction is natural for biology, for DNA, for the system. But I'm not here to protect the system. I'm here to protect actual children. Look at the world. Parents having kids just to get government benefits. Kids born into abuse, poverty, war, religious indoctrination they can't escape. Parents so stressed and overworked, they end up snapping, hitting, or neglecting their own children. That's, quote unquote, natural too. Is it merciful? You see, the system wants you to reproduce because it needs more workers. It needs more consumers. It needs more bodies to keep this thing going while a tiny group enjoys the wealth. So of course it tells you, be fruitful and multiply. Family is everything. Legacy is everything. Meanwhile, you're working yourself to death, living paycheck to paycheck, too tired to enjoy the quote-unquote prosperity you're supposed to be grateful for. And your kids are dragged into the same cycle. Ecclesiastes saw this thousands of years ago. Work, 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 and then you die. And someone else gets what you have built. So no, reproduction is natural, doesn't move me. So are parasites. The real question is not, is it natural? It's, is it merciful to bring someone into this? My answer is no. Another point that Ecclesiastes makes, and that you know from your own life, is this: pain lasts longer than pleasure. The house burning down stays with you longer than all the happy dinners you had in it. Childhood trauma shapes your decisions as an adult. Bereavement, loss, sickness, they leave permanent marks. If pleasure were truly stronger than pain, you wouldn't need to repeat it. You'd drink once and be satisfied forever. You'd have sex once and be fulfilled forever. You'd get high once and never need the substance again. But that's not how it works. Pleasure fades. Pain imprints. So when you weigh existence versus non-existence honestly, not emotionally, Ecclesiastes is right. The day of death is better than the day of birth, and most fortunate of all are those who are not yet born. So the question becomes, so what do we do with our lives now? Let me be clear. I'm not telling anyone to harm themselves. You're already here. You're already in the game. Once you exist, the question becomes, given that I'm stuck here until I die, what do I do with the time? Ecclesiastes actually answers that too. That you accept that life is unfair, accept that you will die, enjoy whatever small good you can. the work you like, food, moments of peace, without lying to yourself about some ultimate happily ever after. So my position is, if you're already alive, fight for your own well-being. Become as self-sufficient as you can mentally, emotionally, and financially. If you don't have kids yet, don't drag someone else into this rigged game just because reproduction is, quote unquote, natural. If you truly care about mercy, the most merciful thing that you can do for a future child is to not create them in the first place. So here's the self-sufficiency takeaway. You are not obligated to continue the human experiment. You are not obligated to give, quote unquote, God more souls, or the system more workers, or your parents more grandkids. You are obligated to yourself to be honest about what life really is, to stop romanticizing suffering like it's noble or holy, to live on your terms while you're here, and to refuse to feed more innocent people into a world you already know is cruel. I'm not asking you to agree with me. I'm asking you to think beyond Johnny Lee is stupid, reproduction is natural. Ask yourself, is it merciful? Is it necessary? Or is it just conditioning and biology talking? I thank you for listening. Remember, no one is coming to save you from this reality, but you can save future children from ever having to face it by not bringing them here.